presentation on African swine fever, or ASF. So why is this important? So currently we're dealing with our own pandemic right now. COVID-19 has kind of taken over the world right now, but we also are experiencing this virus as well in the pig industry called African swine fever, or ASF, as mentioned earlier. And it's been an epidemic sort of disease, which means it travels around to different countries and affects them differently. Right now it's in Poland, and as of March it's been very difficult to contain there, which we'll talk about why in a second. But unlike COVID-19, which has a mortality rate about 3%, ASF has a mortality rate of 100%. So that means that out of 100 pigs that are infected with this disease, 100 of them are probably going to die of the disease. And so it's a very devastating disease. So a little bit about why I got into this topic. I was in my nutrition, fundamentals of nutrition class at K-State, and my professor was actually a part of a disease control group for the state of Kansas. So if anytime there's an infectious disease like ASF, they can go out and put in prevention methods to stop the spread or to slow the spread of the disease, so it is not as bad as we've seen in other areas like China and now Poland, and also Russia has been affected by this disease. And so in seeing that, I wanted to investigate it a little bit more, and this presentation was a great way to do that, so that's what I did. So what we're going to do, this is a little preview of what's to come. We're first going to talk about how it spreads from pig to pig, what happens after a pig catches ASF, like what are the symptoms of ASF so that veterinarians and producers can be on the lookout for these, and then the cost that it poses on the pig industry as a whole and on the country and the world as a whole. So how does ASF spread? There's three big theories out there. One of them, according to the World Organization for Animal Health, is that pigs come into contact with other infected pigs or by the garbage that infected pigs have. There's also like cases where there's been cannibalism, and so they eat the dead pigs that have died of this disease, and so they eat them. So not like COVID-19 where you have to be like hit by residue droplets. You just have to be in close contact, like a pig just needs to touch another pig and they can contact this disease. Or the CDC recently published a study that talked about it being spread orally, so like cannibalism, like eating the dead pigs or eating food that contains the contaminated meat or water, because this disease can spread asymptomatically within the population. So it is a possibility that a pig could be slaughtered without anyone knowing that it actually contains this disease. And then another thing, this is observed more with wild boars, because wild boars can also get ASF, is that there is infected ticks or fleas that spread from one host that has ASF to another host who does not, and it spreads the disease through that convention. So what happens to the pig? These are just clinical signs of the disease. So a high fever, that's typical of a virus infection, decreased appetite and weakness, red blotchy skin or skin lesions. These are normally around the time of death is when you'll get the blotchy skin and the skin lesions on the pigs. But there's also diarrhea and vomiting and coughing and difficulty to breathe. So what happens to the pig industry when a disease like this goes through a country or an area? There was a pretty severe outbreak in China in August 2018, and it spread from pig farm to pig farm, killing about half the pigs in China. That was around 400 million pigs, which is about 50% of the world's population of pigs. It then went on to infect other countries like Vietnam and South Korea. Like I've said before, it's a very episodic disease. So it starts in one area and it eventually gets managed, and then it pops up in another area, and we eventually get it managed, and then it pops up in another area and eventually gets managed. Right now, currently Poland is struggling with it as it moves through their country. There hasn't been any recent articles that I can see that shows the containment of the disease, but I'm betting with COVID preparations or procedures as well, we'll probably see a slow in the disease progression soon. So in conclusion, just talking about this disease spreads very easily through pigs, either through contact, eating or drinking contaminated food or drink, or being bit by infected ticks or fleas. It causes pigs to be unable to eat and have deep skin lesions as it slowly kills it. And lastly, it destroys the pig industry everywhere it goes, killing almost 50% of pigs. And it's crazy how deadly this disease is. And with this last statement from the USDA, it's devastating, deadly, that has a significant impact on U.S. livestock producers, the communities, and the economy if it were found here, which there's only been one case in Georgia, but it was not in domesticated pigs, it was in boars. So it didn't have a lot of impact on the U.S., just because it was in the wild boar population and it was quickly taken under control. But if this was found in pigs here, there's no treatment or vaccine available for the disease, and the only way to stop this disease is to depopulate all affected or exposed swine herds. That just means killing all of them, because there's a chance that they could spread it to other pigs, and that could cause more contamination between more herds. So it's easier to just kill them rather than just testing them, because there is no treatment, there is no vaccine for the disease. So as we keep being told to wash our hands and to make sure that we stay our 6 feet apart, I think we also should get in the habit of washing our hooves as well.